Get the tea ready, get sat down. I have been following this Hi, how are you? Hope you're having a really good day so far. I've been following this story to do with Becca and Jaclyn Hill for quite a long time. There's a lot been happening behind the scenes from what I can tell. First of all, let's get into the tea. Today I'm drinking some peppermint tea by PG Tips. And girl, this tea is hot today. Woo! I'm going to add a teaspoon of honey and half a teaspoon of squeezed lime juice, because I'm bitter. So for those of you who don't know who Jaclyn Hill is a YouTuber who's 26 years old. She's originally from Illinois and she is now based in Florida. And alongside her YouTube career, she is famous for her collection with Becca, her collaboration. She originally came out with a highlighter called Champagne Pop and later went on to develop an entire champagne collection, including a face palette, an eyeshadow palette, which was discontinued due to quality problems with the lab, and a few other things along the lines of that. Becca is a massive company. They sell product worldwide. They are nowhere near as big as Too Faced, for example, but they are still pretty big. Both Too Faced and Becca were both recently acquired by Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder is a very large company's house. They own a lot of cosmetic brands. And I believe Too Faced was acquired for something along the lines of 1.8 billion. Whereas Becca Cosmetics was, I don't want to guess, but it was a lot less than that. I think maybe 150 million, maybe? The reason this entire controversy has kicked off. Jaclyn Hill and Becca have been a bit rocky from what we can see publicly recently. Obviously, their original Champagne Pop highlighter absolutely sent shockwaves around the YouTube community. It was a more expensive high-end highlighter. I believe it was $32 and it was a small pan. But nevertheless, it was a very, very beautiful highlighter. And this highlighter was so popular that she then went on to bring out an entire champagne collection with Becca. And the controversy that we saw things get a bit bumpy was within the champagne collection that came out. Jaclyn Hill also had an eyeshadow palette which had 5 shades, and it was a small little thing. I'm sure here's a picture. I think we sent out the first few thousand units. I'm not entirely sure on the logistics, but basically about 70% of people, from what I could gather when I was researching, said that they had a very, very dry palette that they were having issues with, and there was no pigmentation. It was really sort of horrendous, which to us is very surprising because first of all, this is a very expensive palette. This is from Becca. When you buy from Becca, you buy for the packaging and for the formula, and so to have something very, very dry is very strange, because if it was something that was, if it was a $20 palette or a $15 palette, you would think, oh, maybe, you know, it's still a bit shitty, but oh well. But in this instance, when you're paying so much money from something from Becca, you think, really? How did they get away with this? Becca had basically, from what I gather, Becca had outsourced this palette to a China lab. Now, obviously, Becca is known for having their own labs and they produce things themselves. That's how the quality is so high. And when you outsource to China, you know that I'm currently working with China because I work with them really well. You have to be extremely strict and you have to have a good relationship with your factory. You know exactly what's going into your formula. From what I gather, and I can't confirm this, it doesn't seem like Becca gave the China factory their formula. It seems more like this China factory probably had a few samples and they tested the samples and the quality was okay. And so Becca was like, yeah, we'll just produce it with that. To us, it seems like a cost-cutting measure, and this is not the first time we've seen this happen. Becca are not the only ones that are guilty of this action, if it's true. There's other companies that we've seen this from as well. There's so many collaborations on YouTube that just come out horrendous because it just seems like one of those tactics, especially with Too Faced. Again, this is speculation, but it's something that I do believe in 100%. You know the Too Faced palette that they did with Nikki Tutorials? We already covered the Too Faced scandal to do with the power of makeup. And it seemed very similar that the people that bought the palette, a lot of them anyway, didn't get the same formula. Obviously, it seems like, from what I gather, the first bunch of people that got their palettes, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of people, I would assume, didn't have the best experience from what I could gather personally. This isn't me trying to bash the brand. I have nothing against any of these brands. You can go and watch the scandal. It's on my channel about 3 months ago. That was one of my first ever videos like this. When a brand is to sell a palette in a shop, for example, people can test it, people can try it, and there's no reputation behind it other than reviews. Whereas when you have an influencer pushing a product, it's much easier because people want to buy to support the influencer because they think they're going to be getting some sort of personal thing when you buy this, which is obviously, I mean, it's true, you are getting some sort of personal thing, but at the same time, it does seem more of a marketing tactic. And I think a good example of this is the recent collaboration that we've seen between Kim Tai and Ofra. If you don't know, Kim Tai is a very new channel. She posts vlogs. I don't really know much about her. And I'll probably do something separate. I have no shade towards her whatsoever, but basically she is heavily backpedaled by Nikki Tutorials. She recently scored a collaboration with Ofra, so she brought out a moisturiser. She had a portion of that was donated to charity, but it was a very expensive moisturiser, and when I was going through the ingredients personally, I didn't see anything that was that mind-blowing. But all good for her for scoring a collaboration, but to me, I think to myself, what is a collaboration? Because with Becca Jaclyn Hill, it was something where I feel like Jaclyn Hill's actual personality was really brought into the product. Champagne Pop was her specific shade, and the same with the entire collection. I imagine she didn't get the most amount of creative freedom with the project, but I do believe she had a lot of input. Whereas this thing with Kim Tai and Ofra, it seems more like, we have a moisturiser. If you can sell this many units with your level of influence, we will put your name on it. and it'll give you some promotion. That's how it seems to me. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of personal connection. So it just seemed like we have these different sort of things. Obviously, Nikki Tutorials, the Power of Makeup palette, there was a very intense connection. There was a lot of similarities that we saw between the Nikki Tutorials Power of Makeup palette and the whatever his name is palette, and we covered that in a whole different video as well. That was very juicy because there was a lot of similarities, but it did seem like a very personal project that was worked on. So now that you have a brief background to all of that, how things initially, we kind of saw things going a bit faulty between Becca and Jaclyn was when the original eyeshadow palette came out. This was the 5 shades one. The bad pigmentation, quite bad reviews across social media from the 60-70% of what I could see and what everyone else could see from the people that have spoken to me. And especially for the price. So anyway, Jaclyn took to Snapchat and she went on an absolute mad rant. Let's take a look.
I just want to say that I completely agree with you guys. The reason I have not been responding is because me and Becca have been in communication trying to figure out what to do about this. I now have my name on an eyeshadow palette that I do not believe in. And I have promised you guys many times that I would never put my name on something that I don't believe in. We are going to be eliminating the Champagne Collection eyeshadow palette all together. This technically is not my palette, it's Becca's palette, and I was just responsible for 1 color out of the 5. So they really didn't have to respect my wishes.
When I have asked Jaclyn about any of this stuff, she's not been able to give me any official statements or anything like that. She says that everything is legal and she's not open to talk about it. I mean, I covered this with the Nikki Tutorials Power of Makeup thing. When you work with a big brand, I imagine you do have to sign contracts to say you're not going to bash them, you're not going to talk about them, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. And I think that's what happened with Nikki Tutorials, perhaps. Who knows? I mean, with Nikki, we never know, because I feel like every inch of her, anything she touches is monetized. That's how I feel. So let's get straight onto this entire scandal. So this Instagram, which has already been involved in a recent scandal, so this is why I have to stress that I don't know if this is completely authentic. There's an Instagram called Trend Mood 1, and they posted a picture of the Champagne Collection face palette, and they basically said, oh my god, you'll never guess what, we've had a leak. Obviously Champagne Pop was already out, that was the highlighter, but basically within the face palette, Jaclyn also came out with another colour called Prosecco Pop, and this was like a deeper shade, I believe. And this post basically suggested that Prosecco Pop was going to be made into a single highlighter. Now to us, we would think, okay, well, Jaclyn sort of promoted it and Jaclyn really gave it a name by pushing it on YouTube, because I personally hadn't heard of Becca before any of this. Maybe they're a big brand outside, but I just personally haven't come across them before Jaclyn was like, Becca. And so we were thinking, well, Jaclyn must be getting a cut of that. Jaclyn must be on commission. But basically Jaclyn commented publicly on this post and said, what? I didn't know anything about this. And she even atted Becca, and Becca hadn't responded to her on that post. The main issue is, given the fact that the recent controversy with this Trend Mood Instagram, basically, there was the comment which we covered by Jeffree Star on Kat Von D's products. I've already posted the video about that. Basically just saying like, hashtag more brand, hashtag fail, when it seems like he actually didn't realise what the meaning of the word pastel was. And also, just to add on that, Jeffree Star commenting on Kat Von D's palette not being pastel enough. He did a pastel makeup tutorial. It doesn't look very pastel to me. I'm sorry, just to put that out there. Anyway, back on topic. I have some interesting interviews, by the way, which I'm going to get onto in a later video. You'll like them. So on this Trend Mood Instagram, we already had that recent controversy, and I imagine they probably gained some growth from the whole Jeffree Star thing because it got them exposure. So the thing that goes through my mind is, how credible is this Instagram? If we take a look at the actual post, it says that the leak was shared by this particular person. I went into this person's profile and you can see that they are a makeup enthusiast and a college student. So to me, I was very unsure how they would be aware of any of this stuff unless perhaps they have a parent that's working in the industry that's aware of what's happening and has told them. But then again, you wouldn't share the person's name because that would implicate the parent. So to me, I don't know how Trend Mood 1 would have this information, or this girl that claims to have had the information based on what Trend Mood 1 posted. I spoke to Jaclyn directly and I told her to contact the Instagram. I am yet to hear back anything on that. And as far as you're aware, there is no official statement so far. To me, I don't know about you, tell me what you think. Do you think it's shady if Becca is bringing back this shade which Jaclyn promoted so heavily, but Jaclyn isn't in on the deal? What do you think? Do you think shady, not shady? Because I do feel like if you don't attach some sort of meaning to a brand, it's just some words and some names, and that's what Becca would be. It would be Becca, Champagne Pop, Truffle Pop, Prosecco Pop, whatever. But when you have someone behind it, I don't know, it's very, very strange, very strange. So from what we can gather, Jaclyn does not appear to be in on the deal. That looks very, very suspicious on Becca's part. Now, to add to this, something that I think shows there has been some tension is there was a recent party that Becca threw in New York, and there was a lot of influencers there, but Jaclyn Hill was not present. And I think I remember seeing on the same time she was just on Snapchat casually and on Instagram casually. So to me, it almost seems like she actively chose not to attend the event. So I really don't know. It's really strange. I'm completely speculating here, but there definitely seems to be some cracks appearing, and I personally, I don't know if I could support Becca if they were to do this sort of thing, because to me, as an artist, as a fine artist, beyond anything else, if someone was to take my creation, now obviously legally, Champagne Pop, the copyright belongs to Becca, so it's not like it's Jaclyn's property. Conceptually, I would say that Champagne Pop is Jaclyn's and Prosecco Pop is Jaclyn's because she kind of gave it the name and came up with it. And to me, mentally, that's who it belongs to. What do you think? Tell me honestly, what do you think down below? Because I don't know what to think. Like, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, Jaclyn Hill and Becca have been working together for a long time. I imagine they've made a lot of money together. I mean, Champagne Pop is sold across the world. We already had the recent controversy with Becca where basically the face palette, which was limited edition, which we talked about, came back. I believe that was the favourite scandal for. And again, this is the same sort of thing that looks suspicious. It looks like a business move where something that's limited edition, when it's out, it's out. Like, it should be out, technically. And it's the same thing we see from Too Faced and with Tarte. And to me, I find it a bit annoying personally. I find it annoying that a brand will have an expensive product that they push as being limited edition and then bring it back again. And it's like, well, no, because there's people that really will have dug into their paycheck to buy that product because it was limited edition. And they might have been struggling that month, but really put themselves out there because they wanted to support this person and buy this product. And for it to just come back again like 6 months later, a year later, I personally don't think it's right. Everyone was sort of saying it's Jaclyn's fault. I don't know if it's Jaclyn's fault. It could be Jaclyn's fault. She could be a greedy bitch. I have no idea. But to me personally, based on my judgment, I think it was more of a Becca decision, given that they are a massive, massive company. I really don't know, because there's a lot of opportunities that I've seen for Jaclyn to be money hungry. I mean, for example, if we take a look at Jaclyn's Instagram, okay, this is just a very brief example. I'm very keen with the eye on people's Instagrams and how monetized they are. So for example, if we look at an Instagram post, you can see there's not really any links. There's not any links. There's no affiliate links. There's no art style links, which I think a few other people have talked about, any of the T talked about. And it's the same thing, there's nothing wrong with those sorts of things in a sense. But you can see that Jaclyn Hill's Instagram is not monetized. If we go through her comments, she has the coupon codes, Morphe, and other products as well. But it doesn't appear to be heavily monetized. Like, for example, if you look at Nikki Tutorial section, you can see that there's all these different affiliate links, which will make her money when you click on them. So to me, it seems like Jaclyn isn't monetizing as much as she could do. It doesn't seem like she's that hungry for money. So to me, I think to myself, well, if she's not that desperate for money, I don't see why she would make the decision to bring something back that should be gone, that was limited edition. I personally don't think she would have done. I have not heard her comment on this. I have not heard any sort of statements or anything like that. And I don't know if she even could, based on the contracts, being in a contract with such a big company, Becca. I mean, it's a worldwide company. Maybe Cookium will be there one day. By the way, if you haven't already signed up to my announcement down below, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.